Take
Okay,
take
thank
care
you.
of your
This is time to start our today's webinar. Welcome to our today's all of attendance. Especially welcome to our today's honorable moderator, our country coordinator from Romania, Laura Stanciu, and especially welcome to our today's welcome speaker, our honorable country coordinator from Bahamas, Dr. Litra Vinu, and our today's honorable two speaker or presenter, respectively Beira Abdullah from Pakistan, our global executive member, and Andres Rodriguez, our another country coordinator from Ecuador. And lastly, I want to welcome our today's honorable chairperson, our active leader, our dedicated leader, Navin Gupta from India, our honorable continental director of India and our global executive leader. And welcome to our today's all of attendance. Welcome to our today's webinar. This is time to start. So just I want to request our today's honorable moderator, dear Laura Stanciu, please over to you. This is time for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Greetings, everyone. I am Laura Stanciu from Romania, and on behalf of Global Education Network, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the International Workshop on Teaching. It will be a day full of knowledge and full of learning, because it is very important to learn foreign languages, especially English. It opens up new windows to the world and offers students, and not only students, countless possibilities. So join us, welcome in this wonderful event. And now it is my pleasure to welcome our first guest of today. Let's all welcome Dr. Litravino Deveno, education consultant, motivational speaker, and life coach, tourism and hospitality studies and social studies teacher at St. Anne's School. Also, president of Rogers School of Government and Diplomacy, a lifetime member of Institute of Global Professionals, ambassador of Global Schools Alliance, member of Global Forum for Educators, World Teachers Association, a certified Bahama host professional, and with a diploma in professional studies and business. Welcome, Dr. Litravino Devero. The floor is yours.
No, President, good morning to all. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing that enlightens us about streaking others. People won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in all of us. As we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we liberate ourselves from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Mr. Chairman, His and Her Excellencies, Honorable Ambassadors, Executives, Country Coordinators, Global Members, Global Directors, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good evening. I am pleased to welcome you to the Global Education Network International Workshop on Language Teaching. We are excited to have you all to participate in this tremendous occasion. I welcome all eminent speakers and guests from around the world who have come to share in their knowledge and vast experience with us. Global Education Network is an organization of greatness, excellence, honor, and success. Once again, welcome all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful words, and thank you for pointing out the fact that we are creating a global community. Thank you. And now,
Thank you.
let us welcome the first keynote presentation. It is my pleasure to welcome the keynote speaker. We welcome Breira Abdullah, Assistant Professor of English at Queen Mary College, Lahore Senior Guide Instruction at Pakistan Girls Guide Association. She's the founder of Anglimia online language learning platform, IELTS Coach, British Council Certified Core Skills Development Trainer, Turkish language instructor, and volunteer at various SDGs. Let's welcome Mrs. Breira Abdullah with her topic, the presentation, Importance of English Language and the Role of Affective Filters in Pakistani English Language Learning and Teaching Content. Welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Laura. It's my pleasure to be introduced on this platform. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction of mine. Well, I would like to share my screen.
You can. You are allowed to share.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know. Yes, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
All right, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, according to your regions, everyone. First of all, I would like to pay my gratitude to the founder of GEN, Mr. Mohive, and my dear friend, Dr. Manisha, who have provided me with this opportunity to share my views, my ideas, my teaching experience with you on this platform. Today's topic of presentation is Importance of English Language and the Role of Affective Filters in Pakistani English Communication Context. Well, who can deny the importance of English language? Today's webinar is one of the wonderful examples of its importance. We belong to various countries, various ethnicities, and various backgrounds, but only one umbrella has gathered us together here, and that is English language. Before starting my presentation, before telling the importance of English language more, I would like to take you along with me in the history of English language in subcontinent. English in subcontinent and then English in 21st century. English was used as a bridge to teach and implement British policies at that time, but later it got a prominent status in that region. It gained the status of world's most powerful language. And in 21st century, it is considered as lingua franca. It is the language of science and technology. It is the language of commerce. It is the language of literature and industry. Precisely, it is the language of globalized world. To tell about its more importance, I have added a few reasons why English is so much important. Well, English does not have superiority on the basis of its demography or geography. Rather, it is the language of decision makers. It is the language of need, not of choice. Now, you don't have other choice, you have to learn English. It is believed that 85% of the world's population can either speak or understand English. Now you can see why it is important. The English-speaking communities control 80% of the world's resources. That's why English is important. Now we cannot survive in this globalized world if we cannot communicate in English. As far as Pakistan is concerned, my beloved country, it is a South Asian country where English has been taught as a subject at primary, secondary, as well as tertiary levels of education. But unfortunately, at primary and secondary level, we use conventional or traditional methods of language teaching and learning, and we focus on two skills in particular in these levels, reading and writing. They are highly focused under a controlled environment where teacher-centered approach has been implemented. Rote learning is considered as the most suitable option, but listening and speaking are not focused. Use of code switching and code mixing are also allowed, but all these issues or the problems remain till the primary and secondary level. When we jump into the universities and we start our degree classes, the scenario is totally changed. Because the course content is only in one language, and that is English. Now the students have to upgrade themselves. Otherwise, they cannot meet the challenges of the degree course content. Now the students become more proficient under the guidance of their moderator or the facilitator. And another most important point is that the andragogical approaches are completely different, which we use at this level. The presentations, assignments, group or pair work also help the learners to improve more and more. According to a report by British Council, I have attached the screenshot of this particular report with it, English language in Pakistan's higher education, in which the researcher says most students in Pakistan possess one level of proficiency. And the credit goes to the education at tertiary level, because the teachers and the students work hard to improve their English language. Now, the second part of my presentation is about affective filters. What are affective filters, and which of the affective filters affect my classroom in Pakistani context? I would discuss them later. What is affective filter? Affective filters are the emotional variables connected with the success or failure of second language acquisition. The affective filter is an invisible psychological filter that can either facilitate or become an obstacle in target language production. Being an achiever of a target, you have to face a lot of obstacles or hurdles in your way. So if you want to achieve that target, you have to remove those obstacles or hurdles, but they would definitely need your more effort. As far as SLA is concerned, means second language acquisition scenario is concerned, the hypothesis has been given by Dulay and Bird in 1977 first. According to that hypothesis, people with high affective filter will lower their language intake. Obviously, when there is a hurdle, then your learning would be disturbed or your output would not be as expected. However, people with low affective filter allow more language intake into their LAD, means language acquisition device. This hypothesis, incorporated by Stephen Krashen in 1985, and according to him, second language can only be obtained with a comprehensible input and with a low affective filter that allow the input in. A raised affective filter can block input from reaching LAD, and LAD is language acquisition device. A lowered affective filter allows the input to strike deeper and be acquired. The affective filter is responsible for individual variation in second language acquisition context. Note that the affective filter is not an issue for first language acquisition. Children don't have it. You have to face these affective factors in the process of second language acquisition. And we have been talking about English as a second language in this webinar. Well, there are 4 types of affective factors in SLA: motivation, attitude, anxiety, and self-confidence. As far as motivation is concerned, we have 2 types: integrative and instrumental. Integrative motivation is an innate trait in the learner that really helps to gain the target language, to produce the target language as it is required. But instrumental motivation is something that the students do have, but for the sake of examination, for the sake of a test, or for the sake of appear in the test to go abroad for higher studies or something like that, and for promotion as well sometimes, But integrative motivation is the indication that the learner is learning in a better way. Then comes attitude. According to Collins Cobalt Student Dictionary, your attitude to something is the way you think and feel about it. There are 2 types of attitudes, positive and negative. And your attitude decides whether you are committed or not, whether you have dedication or not. If the students have integrative motivation in themselves, definitely it would promote positive attitude in the classroom, and that shows their commitment and dedication. Through their participation, they show all these things, and then the teacher and the students together attain the final output of language learning. Next is anxiety. Anxiety has been defined by Gardner and McIntyre in 1993. That is the apprehension experienced when a situation requires the use of a second language with which the individual is not fully proficient. The students most of the time feel fear, or they are afraid when they are not proficient in that language. They could not perform as they want, though they have good knowledge or grip on the subject matter, but they don't have communication skills, so they cannot perform as they can if they can polish their communicative skills. So anxiety and performance, both of them have correlations. If there is anxiety, you must have less performance. If you have less anxiety, that is the indication or the proof that you could perform better. Types of anxiety are there: communication apprehension, test anxiety. Obviously, in Pakistani context, students have test anxiety too much in themselves. They are very much afraid of the marks and all that, and fear of negative evaluation, obviously. So last but not least, self-confidence. Self-confident learners give better output of language learning because they try to avail every opportunity to use L2 in SLA context. If the teacher provides them the opportunity that they have to present a topic, so such type of students who have self-confidence, they could definitely volunteer and they come and present in a better way as compared to those who have less confidence among themselves, because they are afraid of making mistakes, so they cannot remove this anxiety among themselves, and then they cannot build up self-confidence. So these 4 factors, these 4 affective factors, work together in SLA context. Being a teacher, we have the responsibility to try to remove them as much as we can. What we can do in the classroom, I am going to share with you. I mean, the strategies I try to use in my classroom, and I get better results out of that. How the affective filters can be avoided in SLA classrooms. So being a teacher, try to perform the role of a facilitator or moderator in the classroom. Don't try to be an instructor or just like a teacher who is just giving the instructions and giving the orders to the students. Right? Let them do by their own. Try to use student-centered approach rather than teacher-centered. Make lesson plans which give more time to the learners to perform in the classroom and appreciate the use of target language. I do it alone. When my students use the target language in the classroom, I appreciate them a lot. And I say that these students are learning better as compared to those who try to code switch. Divide them in groups or pairs for presentations and assignments, so they learn in collaboration and become more confident. Ask them to speak into the target language in the classroom and use the communicative approach, which I use in my classroom. According to Harmer 2015, he says, meaning-focused communicative tasks involve students in real or realistic communication. Never give them tasks and ask them to do as home tasks. No, give them the tasks within the classroom and ask them to perform in front of you. Motivate them, boost them up, that they have to perform in front of everyone in the classroom. And definitely it works a lot. Give them incentives in the form of extra marks or sessional marks. As the teacher of BS honors, we do have 15 marks in our hands as sessional marks. So I usually give this incentive to my students, and they work hard into the target language and they try to improve their communication skills. Last but not least, help them to become the leaders of their own learning. The best teacher is the one who tries to make the students capable to guide their learning by themselves. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your patience to listen. I hope that you would work on the guidelines I have given. This is my email address, and this is my YouTube channel with the title of Inglimia. I have started it in my own language, native language, so the students of my country could get the better input and they could give the better output as well. Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Breira, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you for offering us a most interesting perspective on affective filters and how they are connected with the success or failure of second language acquisition. It is indeed a wonderful thing to know that the attitude decides the commitment and dedication of the students and how it affects the participation in their classroom. And thank you for the strategies you offered us. They will definitely help us to get better results with our students. Thank you. And now it is my honor to welcome the next speaker for today. Let's all welcome on this virtual floor, Mr. Andres Rodriguez Camano, Master in TESOL, Casa Grande University, Guayaquil, Ecuador. He is CEO in World Language Academy Online Language Center, an English coach, Max TESOL member, iStar Conferences, Global Peacemaker in Calibook, United States. Welcome. It is our pleasure to have you here today.
Good morning, good afternoon, whether you are now, okay? More than a pleasure to be here, no? I send my greetings from Ecuador in South America. For me, it's an honor to contribute it and to be around with a wonderful team of educators, global educators, no? So First of all, in the introduction that you mentioned, let me give you a little background and the way that we can contribute it in this topic of English language learning. Okay, English language learning is an interesting topic that it inspires us to move forward more than teaching, especially for the ones who believe that we can do more than just instruction, doing following instruction or following some standards or just following some mechanisms of proficiency. Okay, we believe that English language as itself must be spread around the world with different purpose, academically, non-academically, and the other different purpose that we can um, deal with. No, well, why the topic of action research in different classes now when we teach English? Um, my inspiration has been always moved to transform classroom and make them more realistic. So the use of the language in a conversational purpose, use of speaking, no, as a integrated skill, not only for uh, just say something or use for a specific purpose. It's more than that. It's for it's more than pragmatism. It's more semantic. It's more than a role play or activity that we can do in classes. No, it's real communication, and that's the reason why I want to share with you, with the audience, an action research that I have been working in some. Uh, Hello, it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we can
Okay,
hear you.
sorry. All right. So
Yes, we're hearing you.
I want to start first with this initial question. This is more than presenting. No? This is a reflection. No, when we are referring to teaching in this way after the pandemic time, the world is still wondering what is the modality that we are going to use more effectively, or what modalities were more useful and effective before the pandemic. So if we go back to the past, we are going to remember that before 2020, there were some modalities that many students at college they were following. For example, they were paying for some extra courses in university, all right, in order to get certificates. And those certificates were promoting uh, our certification for different purpose. Okay, a good example is when an employee, a student who is full time, don't he didn't have time to go to college to study full time, so they partially studied, no, some
हेलो
hours a
गर्व,
day.
गुड इवनिंग। गर्व, और कौन है तेरे साथ पढ़ने वाला?
सर अभी सर एक बच्चा नहीं है सर, 3-4 आएंगे सर। और
कब आएंगे? साथ ही बुला लेना बेटा, फिर एक ही बार स्टार्ट करेंगे ना
सर।
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, the point is that we were asking what modalities were immersed in teaching language. So the hybrid course is the one that incorporates the face-to-face classes with the online sessions, no? And we also have some modalities that increase 50% and 50% realistic classes, no? And otherwise, we also have um, there are some blended learning, no? That were also partially used, no? They spend 10% of their time consuming with the formative assessment or summative assessment quizzes for teachers to increase. But they would take some advantages and disadvantages for some teachers, no? And also for the students, because the inconvenience is that a student develop some skills partially, but others still remain and they didn't develop them very well. Particularly speaking, which is the one that we consider in our study. You would say, why speaking and why don't other skills? Well, in this study we focus on speaking because it's the one that we use for communication and is productive, and it is the one that you receive the input, no? So obviously we always are in interaction and communication We transmit, but we also use the active listening. So we can operate and use both skills simultaneously, speaking and listening. But we focus on speaking because that's the one that, according to the results of the study, many students, when they become shy or they don't feel comfortable when they need to communicate or say something, so their speaking start decreasing, and there are many reasons for that. Those. So the hybrid course, it's good because it allows people who don't have full time for studying in a specific modality, especially face to face, and then they have the option to watch recordings or to follow some platform and study on his or her own pace. Eventually, they want they want to college, or they want some um, um, classes where teachers assign them to follow, but they are minimum, no, so they don't develop the speaking skill, no. Okay, so in our methodology, in the methodology that we were using for hybrid classes, we u- we use this in a university, okay, in a state university in Guayaquil, Ecuador, where so the number of students that we use in a classroom were 20. They were divided between male and female. They studied agricultural career, no, the engineering agriculture. So English in context is used for a specific purpose in that career, no. So students um, study the language, but in a language center. Now, the language center belongs to the university, and who is in charge of the number of hours, the classrooms, um, and the number of teachers who are going to be assigned with this group of students. So this is the context. Apart from that, the classes are full equipment with technology, and it is good for the research purpose that we have in order to see good results in the hybrid class. In this study, we had been following two types of case studies. First, in the first case study, we are going to reflect on some education results. For example, in order to reduce the time consuming for the teachers with the number of students that we have in large classrooms, okay, more than 20 or more than 25 students, it's difficult for the teachers sometimes give an effective feedback, no? So um, we incorporated some activities or some strategies, no, that they perform and facilitated, okay, the role of the teacher in the speaking feedback. For example, video conferencing. We can use video conference, for example, by Skype, or even we use the device, the mobile phones with WhatsApp, in order to have the video conference interaction where students can come classes presentially, and we have the remote learning, no? Additionally, we can use the recordings, okay? But the recordings are only effective for students who live uh, far away and they can come to university, and we have that interaction and synchronically. So we can hear the recordings, the teachers have time to respond it and send privately the feedback, the speaking feedback to the students, and it facilitates the process. Okay, blogs is an alternative for the ones who are in challenges or difficult situations, especially for students when they were struggling from COVID in that time, and they couldn't come permanently, and they stay far from the university, and we can use some blogs for them, or we had some interviews, no, interviews that we use for video conferencing with them. So the results show that the majority of the students feel more confident when video conferencing were used with a number of groups, with some group of students, because they feel that um, that they were more active, confident, maybe in a interaction that they have with the teacher, no, rather than staying one by one. So that is positive, but we explain to the students that there will not happen all of the time, that there will be some video conference one by one too. Okay, on the other hand, we have another case study. In this study, okay, we have the face-to-face or presential classes. This situation in this context is a small size classroom in a university. Okay, as you can see here, students are the setting they are sitting, and they are separating one seat, one chair to another one. And we established some parameters from COVID-19 in the time. So it was about 6 months ago. And essentially, the teacher could notice different results. So we could draw some conclusions. The first one, we can notice the affected filter. So the real interaction with the students, and we notice they feel more confident and friendly at the moment when when they were speaking. So the teacher were noticing that they leave behind some stereotypes when beforehand, when they were in a video conference, when they prefer talking to see each other, or the fact that simply they see their partners face to face again. Another conclusion that we could see in this small size classroom is also that they feel more productive. No, they feel more productive when using the speaking language. No, in different situations. For example, role plays, open questions, reflective questions, discussions, or simply participation that they have in the class now between each other. And other thing is that the teacher reduces the less talking time, the time talking, the time consuming of talking. And those were the three conclusions that we can see in this small site. The study recommends that this study works effectively in a small size classroom rather than large classroom because of the time and also the number of students, the settings, the configuration, and the content. So perhaps this study will work in some institutes, in some large classrooms. We don't know, but if we could suggest to teachers to observe the context of their students, their situation, if they can uh, use this case study in order to promote their speaking good results. Okay. Finally, I would like to mention that the hybrid has many positive sides in the configuration of the classroom because it allows students to interact and promote communication, real communication in the classroom. So the study will continue in another in another study that we are preparing, and we are going to compare results in order to uh, see if we can propose an innovation in the classroom using different assessments or formative assessment and friendly feedback for the students, in this case, particularly the speaking skills. Thank you so much for uh, allowing me to share this study case. And I would like that it can be very useful in the future for some other intervention. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rodriguez, for sharing your wonderful study case with us and how hybrid studies and post-pandemic education has affected how we teach and how students learn. And Your ideas were truly interesting, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so
Great.
much for this opportunity. It was an honor. Thank you, Dr. Mohive.
And now it is my honor to welcome our next guest, Mr. Naveen Gupta, a winner of the National ICT Award 2019 by Ministry of Education India, a teacher dedicated and devoted to the enrichment of his students, which includes students and teachers from some reputed schools and colleges. Vastly experienced in the field of computer education and passionate about innovative means of imparting education, his tutelage and mentoring has helped hundreds flower and reach the pinnacle of success in their chosen fields. Well-versed in the art of imbuing his students with goal-oriented and dream-driven motivation, his exceptional leadership
Dear Laura, your voice, you are on mute now, I think.
I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem.
I was reading the introduction of Mr. Naveen Gupta. Has anything been heard? Shall I start again?
No. It was a nice introduction you have already given to me. And
Okay.
I don't being a part of the Global Education Network, I'm a Continental Director for Asia region, and we want to promote the SDG goal for the world. So that's the motive of the Global Education Network. Our founder, Mohiuddin, always keeps a track of all the webinars and all the things, and he's always there to help everyone to understand the language barrier across the world and so many other things. We have already done so many technological webinar, so many language webinar, cultural exchange kind of program, and it's always be a great platform for everyone to share their thoughts on the various topics. And I'm sharing the attendance link as well, so people can fill the attendance so that they will get a certificate of participation for this webinar, that is language ELT, that is English language teaching. So I hope everyone enjoyed the session. Both the speakers have taken a lot of effort to design their presentation and given a valuable thoughts to the every participant. I hope that session was a great success, and thank you everyone for joining us. Over to Mohiuddin sir. Laura, you can continue. I think
thank you, our honorable global executive leader, and today's successful and very attractive host in our exceptional settings in Zoom. Our dear Naveen Gupta is a very expert to moderate, operate Zoom. So, dear Naveen Gupta, you will give a certificate to our today's attendance. Please, I have request you to give our attendance link in our Zoom chat box, please. And
I've already shared. People can start marking their attendance because this link will be open for the next half an hour only. And after this, we'll close this link. So those who are in this session,
not half an hour. I request you to within 10 minutes. After within 10 minutes, you should close.
Okay, sure. I'll close in within 10 minutes.
Okay. Any question or any opinion from our any attendance, please. We are all of our attendance. You can make any question or you can ask any question, please raise your hand.